And I was like, hey, have you guys ever had an issue with these? And they said, you did what? What's up, guys? Welcome back to TBN Off-Road. We are back from Windrock. That was a heck of a trip. It was very wet, as you guys saw. So with that and a lot of bumping, sending, we do have a little bit of carnage to take care of. So I know for a fact I've got to replace this front tie rod. We'll get into that. I think there is some bump stop clearance we got to address, and who knows what else we'll find. So let's get after it. Okay, so the second day I was driving this and my steering wheel was just a little off center, and we went up, I think, trail 35, and all of a sudden it was about 45-degree off center. So if you look, the driver's side, brand new Steer Smarts heavy duty tie rod, nice and straight. And if we go over to the passenger side, if I can show, oh, look at that. It's a little bent. So I called High Lift and I was like, hey, have you guys ever had an issue with these? And they said, you did what? I was like, yeah, like I wasn't even hitting it hard. I was just going up a nice technical trail. So I don't know if, you know, Hydro Assist pushed it into something, got at a weird angle, but regardless, we bent it. So shout out to Steer Smarts because it was still under warranty. Steer Smarts has been great. They sent me a completely new tie rod. I just asked for the end. They sent me a whole thing. So I'm going to take this off. We'll head over to High Lift and I'll pick the new one up. Oh, you know what? First thing we have to do is take off the Hydro ram. That's probably going to be easier before I drop this baby. So if I remember right, this was kind of a pain in the butt to put on. We kind of had to walk all these in and then do this at the last time. So we'll see if I can just pop these off and get it out of the way, but I think I'm gonna have to loosen that bolt too. This is just a 1/4 inch Allen drive. And I don't want to strip these out. That's a win. Oh, don't speak too soon. Okay, so I'll just loosen this top guy. Actually, I'll have to take the whole thing off. We'll see. How about that? All right. Gotta get him up out of the way. And then we can buzz those off. All right, perfect. Now we can go ahead and take off the other side, and a couple good hits and it should pop right off. All right, big hammer time. There's one. There it is. All right, tie rod's off. Let's go get the new one. Show you guys one more time. Straight. Not straight. It bent that 1.5 inch shank. You can see it just compressed the threads on the one side. So it didn't break, but it did bend. All right, guys, we're here at High Lift. If you're in northern Cincinnati or the Cincinnati area, go check them out. These guys are awesome. Okay, we got the new tie rod. Luckily, I still have my old TerraFlex tie rod, so I can at least get a measurement off of that for length. And then this is going to go in next week to get aligned again at High Lift. So I'm going to set the new tie rod to length, and then we'll get it installed. 58 and... we'll call it 7/16. I put some anti-seize on the new one too, just to make sure that it didn't kind of bind up. There's going to be mud and water and everything else in there. Oh, I forgot it's reverse threads on the other side. Duh. Helps when you spin it the right way. Okay, that's close. You've got to take these dust covers off as well. Little bit of a rotation, but that's pretty dang close. I'll tighten these guys down and that kind of lock it in place, and then obviously High Lift will do the final adjustment on it. It's an 18 mil on the nut and a 15 mil on the bolt head. It is a nylock nut, so I'm going to take it easy. but I'm also not slow. All right. All right, good enough. Okay, I'll go ahead and get this hanging up in there. So in order to drive this without the ABS going nuts, because my steering wheel is so far off, I think I shrunk the drag link. So I'm going to extend that back out. I believe it was like a rotation, maybe a rotation and a half. So I'll do that now again to just try to get it somewhere close to center, and then high lift can figure it out. Sorry, Matt. Okay, that's really loose. All right. I know which way I'm going. Okay. No idea how close that is. Well, once I get the tie rod in and everything connected, I can always change that. All that's going to do is change the steering angle. Okay, I'm going to start with this side because it kind of hangs or wants to turn driver anyways. So once I hook that up, I can pull it back the other direction. Obviously, we're going to need to move these. I just wanted to lock it down so it didn't move once it was installed. Okay. I will go ahead and adjust these over one at a time so it doesn't move. And then typically when I hook this guy up, if I'm strong enough, I'll shove this all the way in and then turn all the way passenger so that I know that's full lock, and then that's where the clamp's going to be. The other way you can do it is to go full lock, then full extension, mark the 2, and then measure and go in the middle with the wheels straight, but it's easier to just shove it all to one side. Oh yeah. All right. So there is a hex key that goes in the top of this to keep it from spinning. So I'm going to have to do that with probably a wrench and a hex key. It is a 21 mil wrench and what is this? A 6 mil socket or 6 mil Allen. That's really just to hold it. We want to go righty-tighty. That's the other way. I'm going to keep this from going that way. There we go. Okay. I can't remember if I greased these first or tightened them down. I probably should have greased them and then tightened them down. Oh well, that's what we're doing. Okay, there is straight on the steering wheel. How close did we get? It's pretty straight. Was definitely towed out. So I probably got that just a touch long, which means the original I had was probably a touch long. But again, high lift will figure that out. I'm just trying to get it. They're like 5 minutes from my house. So it's easy for me to get over there. All right, we got to pump some grease in here before I forget. Oh, you know what? Those aren't tight yet. Okay, I lied. They were tight. Good job, Steer Smarts. Other people don't do that. Got the foreman here supervising. Hi. Watch out, you're getting grease on you. All right, since these are brand new, there is very little flop in this tie rod. I mean, I'm twisting it as hard as I can, and I can't move it. So, again, that's at full passenger. I can't really show you, but there is, you can probably slide a piece of paper underneath there. So if it rubs at all, it'll self-clearance itself. I'm not that worried about it, but just one thing I wanted to check. We'll go ahead and I'll get this ram shoved back and let's see here if I'm strong enough. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the ram's gonna live pretty much right there. We're at full steering stop. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll work on the ram. Okay, so last time, if I remember right, we had to start this upper part and then get the other guys set in there. Or else I couldn't get the ram in the bracket. Hey, dog. There we go. And I believe we just started this because I needed just a little bit of play. Cool. To get these other guys in there. There it goes. Okay. All right, fingers crossed these will start because last time they were a major pain in the butt. I just realized some of those are longer than others, so now I gotta remember which ones go where. I believe the tall ones go on top, or the long ones, and the short ones go on the bottom. We'll try that. All right, that looks right. All right, I got those 8 snug. Hopefully this guy will still go in. So that was our problem last time. Oh yeah. It's snug, but going. Ouch. That's gonna hurt. You basically just have to work these in a giant pattern to try to make sure they don't loosen another one up. And you're just trying to not round the bolt holes out. But this is one of the only double shears I could find. And again, high lift is gonna have to loosen this up anyways. So I won't get it too bad for him, but I just don't want to slide. All right. All right, so next we'll see if that ram will stay where it needs to be. It's probably gonna push steering fluid out. That's all the way left. It's well off the diff. And we have full steering angle. Almost. Ooh, okay. I'll show you. So the ram is just a little different length. You can see, there it is. We've got a good little bit of steering angle over here that isn't being used, so I gotta slide the ram just a little bit. High lift is just gonna have to mess with that. I'm not really sure. Probably gonna have to mess around with moving the ram back and forth and that drag length, but for now, it's good enough to at least drive it over there. We got everything greased. We got the ram back on. Everything's tightened up. So yeah, I think that's one job done. I'll throw the tires back on it, move on to the next thing.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Me and Ronan just hanging out today. Kind of just gonna be tinkering around, cleaning up some stuff. Take the back tire out and the back rack out and finish putting the carpet in. Finish the rear of the deck system. And then I got this cool package from Adventure Life USA. And if you know what that is, then you already know what's coming next. We're gonna make it so you guys can never forget who Ronan is and what he's all about. So stay tuned, and like I said, this is just a Saturday tinkering around in the garage. All right, got the rear seat belts out because obviously we don't need those anymore. Next thing we're gonna clean up is the back of this is not attached. So what I'm gonna do, or attempt to do, is use the existing little rib nuts that are in here and secure this thing down. Let's see how that goes. As most JK owners know, these little rib nuts in here tend to spin. So now we got to figure out what size that is and if we can put a new one in there. A little bit of RTV on there. on that panel to get that screw and that screw to line up. Everything fits. We got the side carpets back in, looking good. So now we're gonna put everything back together. Oh yeah. There we go. You know, Harry's all dressed up. So, keeping with our theme, this is the 2-color with the topography on it. And then the custom lettering, obviously. You can put whatever you want on there. All sorts of different colors, all sorts of different textures. So you can do like a gloss or a flat, topography. I think there's a camo. There you go. Now you can really see that color pop out. And that kind of wraps up my weekend of tinkering with the Jeep. The only other thing I have to do is I have to flex out the front fully so I can make sure I don't hit my reservoirs. And this thing's ready to rock and roll. What else did we do in the meantime? Well, I got distracted on a whole bunch of other projects like I always do. We got this corner armor installed. That was pretty fun. Kind of just been wheeling it twice now. And can't wait to see what it does for the rest of the season. And oh, there is one big surprise. Hold on a second. I didn't make a video on this because it's literally like 5 bolts, but we got some big boy Fox 2.5s finally that really bring this whole thing together. Really ties the room together nicely. Yeah, there we go. Look at those. Whoa! We got the beef. So that's it for me and my garage today. Just gonna kind of get it cleaned up and go wheel hopefully in March, definitely in April down at Tacky Creek.
All right, Jeep's outside. Next thing we've got to do is take these sliders off. We just needed them for that one ride. And then I finally found a local paint shop that's gonna paint match the corners. So we'll pull the sliders off, pull the corners off, and then we'll get those to the shop. So I'm really excited to see how everything is gonna look once it's all color matched. Little dirt. Protected what we needed to protect. I will take that for a Facebook find to get me through a weekend. So, all right, we'll move on to taking the corners off. All right, if you guys watched our TNT Corners install video, you'll remember these 5 bolts have insanely small hardware on them. And now it's all covered in mud as I stick my hand back there. So that's gonna be the hardest part of taking these off, is gonna be trying to get this gas cap off. And then I've got to disconnect the hose that I kind of fashioned up underneath there too. So we'll do that. Hopefully I can pull this off and then we'll get the corners off. So when I have to put gas in the Jeep, because this hose goes straight back instead of back and then down, you kind of have to angle the gas pump at a really odd angle, or you can only pump at like snail speed. I mean, it's bad. It takes like 15 minutes to fill the Jeep up. So the more I've used it, I've kind of figured out how to jam the gas pump in there. There is a way to do it and it pump like normal, but that's been a little bit of a learning curve. So if you do install one of these, it's just kind of a fair warning that it's not going to act like it does for factory, but gas still does go in and does not come back out. Okay. All right, there are 2 hose clamps right there. We'll pull those off. Actually, I only need the one. See if we can pull this out. Hey, how about that? Cool. One gas cap. So you can kind of see this gets a little bit of pressure on it, but it's pretty centered. But the way that kind of goes straight back and then down, it just makes enough back pressure that it'll turn the pump off. So a little bit of finagling to make that work. All right, onto the corners. I'm gonna break all these free with a 3/16 Allen, and then hopefully I can just use the impact and run them all out, but I don't want to spin the nut zerts that are in there. So we'll do it by hand first, maybe like that. Hopefully these come out. I don't know, it's been a little while since they've been on. I was really hoping to get this done, you know, before we went on our first ride, but it just didn't work out that way, unfortunately. And I tried to get powder coat because I thought that might be a more durable option. And from what I've, you know, talked to some people, powder coat now is a lot easier to match. But this red is just not easy to match, unfortunately. I love the color of the Jeep, but it just takes a little extra effort. But we'll get the new paint on, and I think it'll look great. Got to take these taillights out too before I drop the whole corner. There's just one electrical connection back here and 2 bolts, so nothing too hard. There we go. Will it fit through the hole? That's the next question. Halfway there. Oh, look at that. That's a win. So you guys can see just how much mud and dirt and everything gets in between the armor and the body. So what I'm gonna do when we get everything painted and ready to put back on is I will run beads of silicone around the top, and then as much as I can get sealed up on the bottom I will, to try to keep all that off of the body, because that'll rust the tub out in no time. So on to the other side. All right, there you go, just as dirty on this side, but corners are off. Man, does it look ugly. Cool, so we'll toss those in the truck. We'll drop them off at the shop this week. And I think we've got one more thing to do to kind of wrap this video up. So if you guys watched the Windrock wheeling video, you can kind of see, we were talking about kind of some bumps and bangs back here. We couldn't really figure out what it was. And it looks like right here, this pinch seam is contacting the top of the bump stop. The rubber body mounts, as you'd kind of hit a bump, the whole body would flex and it would come down, and this pinch seam would smash on top of this. So I'm going to take the top of this off. If I can slide the bump stop out, I will, but I think I'm just going to take a grinder and just kind of clearance this. There's nothing really behind it. It's just that pinch seam. So we'll kind of do that, give ourselves some clearance so we won't have those bumps and bangs anymore. All right, I'm loosening this cap. I'll show you guys here in a second, but you can definitely see where it was hitting. Hang on. There you can see she was smashing into that pretty good. So I'm just going to take a grinder and kind of open that up, kind of up in here, and go from there. Okay, well, in classic TBN bodywork, I went ahead and massaged that. You can see right underneath it there, that's actually the filler neck behind it. So I couldn't get the grinder out, so I just kind of got a punch and a pry bar and kind of bent it up out of the way. So I'll shove the bump can back up in there, put the collar back on, and we'll just have to test it out a little bit. These are all the little things after a big build that you spend a ton of time just trying to figure them out, but that'll be attempt 1. All right, rookie mistake. I thought I hit record and I didn't. You can see I just kind of rolled this in. It is just inboard of the edge of that collar. It's kind of hard to get the phone in a good spot, but it was definitely hitting back in here. I just kind of pushed a pry bar in here and rolled this under. So it's ugly, it's crude, but at least for now it won't be hitting the bump stops. So if you guys do that, I mean, the better way would have been a nice clearance and cut and smooth and paint, and I clearly don't care based on how that looks. All right, guys, I think that about wraps it up for today. It looks worse than when we started. Sometimes I guess you got to go backwards to go forwards. We still have a pile of stuff to do on this. I keep saying it's close, and then I think of 10 more things that I got to do to it. If you guys watched our last video, we went wheeling with the Wheats, and you probably heard that rear locker leaking. So I got that to fix. I left the carrier sit out the whole time we rebuilt this thing, and the rear pinion bearing is bad. So we got a rebuild kit for that. The rear shelf, I just got way too much stuff on it, so I got to build some supports for that. I know Mason and Corey have a pile of stuff they got to do on their Jeeps too. So look for all of that to come in some upcoming videos. And if you guys would like to support the channel, don't forget, go check out tbnoffroad.com. We've got our ride schedule on there, but we've also got merch. Men's, women's, long sleeve, short sleeve. Go check it out. I think that's about it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.